So I started to like really wake up and like do a lot of embodied, sovereign, grounding, higher vibrational things back in like 2020 to 2021, which was my senior year. Um, I decided to stay home senior year to like work on myself because like it was when I was first getting back into spirituality. I'd kind of dipped my toe in it in like middle school because of my older brother, but it was like the first time I was really like getting into it for myself, and I was like really into embodiment. I was like working out, taking all the right supplements. Like I was putting in the work on every layer of the game, and I was becoming quite lucid here in this reality. And it's kind of ironic because because of COVID, not a lot of my friends and family got to see me at my best. Like family gatherings weren't taking place for like even like a year or two after quarantine. My friends, we all just kind of started, growing up, doing our own thing. And I was just trying to focus on myself, like I said, focusing on like the spiritual stuff. I had like an old TikTok actually, and I'm really mad because I ended up deleting it, and it's like those videos are just gone forever. But the reason I'm making this message is because I really regret not making more content back then, because like it was one of the best times of my life, and I think I could have inspired more people. I think I could have inspired my own future self, especially with what ended up happening, which I'm going to get into. But yeah, so part of this post and this message, if you will, is make content now, because it might be something that inspires your own self in the future. And yeah, like you don't want to regret not doing it someday. But yeah, anyways, around 2021, like the very end of 2021, like Christmas time into the start of 2022, I started to lose my way again. I was approached by someone online that was like claiming that he knew who I was, like legit, like he remembered my soul. And some of the stuff he was saying let me know that he wasn't just delusional. Like I knew that it was real, because there was certain stuff that this person said that they shouldn't have known. And because I was doing all these things and all that, like my intuition was pretty on point, my discernment was on point to an extent, other than the fact that I let this scenario grow into something that later spiraled me. But other than that, my discernment was pretty good. And basically I just started getting lost in stuff that doesn't matter again. I started trying to figure out like, who am I in the galactic Fed? Who am I in the angelic realms? And why is this person contacting me? Because he claimed that we were on a mission together, and we've had like timelines in the past. And I started focusing on stuff that don't matter, like ego stuff again, but this time it was a higher level. And so I had basically escaped the labyrinth of the Matrix on a 3D level, only to get pulled back into a higher tier of Matrix labyrinths, right? Which would be like lower 5D. So you guys gotta be careful when it comes to like trying to figure out like, who are you in past lives, and like becoming too attached to those things and like certain timelines, because it can be a form of control. And what ended up happening is I ended up actually getting siphoned from this, like energetically siphoned and pulled into like all of these victim mindset timelines, where I started projecting that I'm a victim being siphoned, because I mean, let's be real, it's what was going on. But it made me slip into victim mentality, and it's a long story. Like basically from 2022 to now, I was going through it, and like lower 5D labyrinths of myself and everything. But anyways, there were certain moments during that time where I even slipped back into the lower 3D labyrinths too, to where I was like back at square one, like before 2020 again. And I felt like I was in high school again with like that dark cloud over me. And I had to download today, that is the reason why I'm making this video. And the download is that I think the universe was kind of trying to show me just how important what I was doing in 2020, 2021 was. Like, it was trying to show me like just how magical it really was, because it all happened so fast, you know, like quarantine happened. I started kind of getting my life together in quarantine, and then that was like the end of my junior year when quarantine happened. And then senior year, we had the option to go back to school or not. I chose to not go because, again, online classes were like easy as heck. So I'm like, if I can just basically have no senior year, of course I'm gonna take that. Like, that was awesome. It was awesome. Like, I would just do all my work on Friday. Literally, like, I would get all my work done in like 2 or 3 hours on Friday, and the rest of the time just felt like summer. So I like really worked on myself all across the board. And the things I was doing during that time, I think the universe was just trying to tell me like how higher vibrational and how much the world really needs that, and like how much I really need that, because again, like, I ended up slipping back into the matrix again. And I think the lesson was just to kind of introduce me to like different walks of life and like different segments of the matrix, just to understand how deep manipulation goes, to understand like why being embodied and sovereign and grounding and doing all this stuff is so important, right? Like, I was working out, breath work, taking like Haritaki supplements, fasting, all that good stuff. So yeah, basically sovereignty and embodiment is like really important. So like, just understand that it truly is important, like on a grand scale, and it truly is magical. Like, take it from me that's been in lower 5D health. So yeah, moral of the story, make more content, because I wish I would have made more content back then. And the reason I brought up my family at first is I was saying like I wish my family and friends had gotten to see me during that time more, when I was really embodied and sovereign, because I think that like a lot of the spiritual stuff that I talk about would have been received better by them, because I was glowing, I was in shape, I was more grounded, I didn't have social anxiety, I didn't have dissociation, I didn't have psychosis. You know, I was like I would have actually been able to sit down at family gatherings and talk to them in a way where I think it could have helped awaken some people. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like, once all of the chaos happened later after being approached by that person, I was back in anxiety, depression, dissociation, psychosis type stuff, to the point where like I literally would get anxiety at like family functions, to the point where I would just shut down. I couldn't talk to anyone. That's how you know it's bad. So, but now I'm back, and that's because I was literally dealing with like, it was real cosmic level stuff. Like, it was very real, but the point is I didn't have to make it my reality. Like, I was the one aligning to it with like there's just a bunch of cosmic drama that I went through, galactic drama, cosmic drama, angelic drama. I found out that I'm like Archangel Brachiel, but I'm also Celestial Lucifer, but like it's from two completely different things. Like the Celestial Lucifer thing's more like Anunnaki, galactic stuff. Like the Lucifer in the heaven where I'm Archangel Brachiel is a completely different Lucifer. Like it's a completely different set of characters, right? Like a different soul. And I started figuring out like who I am connected to anime wise. Like I'm like basically some of the anime and video game characters here, like same essence. And all of that I was trying to work through and ground while I was already like spiraling, dealing with anxiety again, depression. I wasn't taking care of myself. I stopped working out. Yeah, if you want to make a really big difference with like NPCs, sleepers, and just people that are still trying to figure out the game, the more embodied and sovereign you become, the more of a light you become that can actually help them. Like right now you're kind of like a porch light left on, right? Which is still good, by the way. Like just being who you are and being a starseed and like recognizing the bigger stuff. You're like a porch light on, but it's like the more embodied and sovereign you become, you start to like, the door starts to open more in a more inviting way, even more warm and cozy. Like, that makes sense? I don't know. You get what I'm trying to say. It's like people will receive it more in a better way without judging you. Whereas like if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, dissociation, and your mental health is crap, and you're talking about like spiritual stuff and how we're all connected to one, and how there's like infinite timelines, and how the law of assumption works, and how manifestation works, they're gonna look at you like you're mentally ill. But if you're over here, you look good, you got a good body, like they can see that you've been putting in the work, you look healthy, you sound healthy, they might actually be like, oh crap, and they might consider it. So you're gonna help more people that way, and you're gonna protect yourself from spiraling into the same mistakes that I did. Remember, it don't matter who you are on those levels. I found out who I am. Yes, I'll admit I found out, and it probably will be for a reason, because nothing's, everything happens for a reason. But at the end of the day, don't get lost in it, because you're the author anyway. Anyone can be a Archangel Brachiel. Anyone can be a Archangel Michael. It's just, what does it mean to you, and on what level do you know it to be true in your soul? Anybody can be anybody. But I will say, I'm the realest and illest Archangel Brachiel, in this verse at least. But, it changes, because, we're always shifting. So, hope that helps.